The official blueprints for the Ashcroft Grand Hotel show 12 floors of glass and steel. There is no architectural record of a higher level, yet a persistent stream of reports describes a 13th floor, a place where the rules of the physical world seem to dissolve. Ethan Brooks arrived at the hotel on a cold November evening. The lobby was a masterclass in luxury, but the silence inside was heavy. It was the kind of quiet that made the sound of his own breathing feel intrusive against the polished marble. The receptionist handed over the key to room 1208 with a professional smile. Then her face went rigid. She told him that if he heard a knock during the night, he was to remain inside and keep the door locked, no matter who was on the other side. Ethan took the elevator up, passing through corridors that looked identical to any other high-end resort. The threat here felt disconnected from the five-star surroundings, existing only as a set of verbal instructions from a staff that refused to elaborate. Ethan woke to a rhythmic sound at exactly 3:17 a.m. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. He checked the time, then waited. 3 more knocks followed, each one perfectly spaced from the last. He checked the peephole to find the hallway empty and silent. Seconds later, a notification appeared on his phone, a hotel alert that simply read, "Do not open your door." The text vanished from the screen as soon as he finished reading it. The knocking started again, but the source had changed. The sound was no longer coming from the wood of the door. It was vibrating from deep within the solid concrete of the interior wall. 2 hands began pressing outward against the wallpaper, stretching the tatons as if trying to break through the stone. The structure of the room itself had become the source of the noise. The barrier between the guest and whatever was moving inside the walls had been reduced to a layer of decorative paper. The following morning, Ethan began digging through digital archives, looking for anything that predated the hotel's grand opening. He eventually found a local news report from 22 years ago, hidden beneath decades of travel PR. During construction, a massive structural failure occurred in the foundation. A trench collapsed, burying dozens of workers instantly. Instead of a recovery effort, developers poured a fresh layer of concrete directly over the site to stabilize it. The bodies remained where they fell, encased in the stone that supports the lobby and guest rooms. The Ashcroft Grand was completed on schedule, standing as a 12-story monument built over an occupied grave. The hotel functions as a massive tomb. The guests sleeping on the upper floors are separated from the victims of the construction collapse only by a few hundred feet of vertical space and a history the owners tried to pave over. On his second night, Ethan stayed awake. He kept the lights off and watched the clock. At 3:17 a.m., the elevator dinged in the hallway. Then the television in his room flickered to life on its own. The screen displayed a live CCTV feed of the hallway outside his door. A figure in an outdated bellhop uniform stood motionless in the frame. It had no face, just a smooth, featureless surface where its eyes and mouth should have been. The manager had previously insisted that these hallways were never fitted with cameras. The faceless figure on the screen slowly raised an arm and pointed toward the elevators at the end of the hall. It was an invitation to leave the safety of the 12th floor. The hotel's internal electronics were now being manipulated to provide Ethan with a view of his own doorstep. The entity was using the building's infrastructure to direct his movements. On the third night, a text appeared on Ethan's phone. "Don't let it see you." He ignored the warning and stepped into the elevator. The doors closed, and the floor indicator climbed past 12, finally resting on a number 13 that appeared in jagged, glowing red light. The 13th floor smelled of damp soil and scorched wood. The walls were unfinished, showing the raw concrete and rusted rebar of a construction site that had been frozen in time for 20 years. He found a single room with its door open. Inside sat a guest register from the year of the collapse. Ethan's name was the final entry. The checkout date had been crossed out in red ink and replaced with a single word: never. The faceless bellhop appeared at the end of the room. As it approached, the concrete walls became translucent. Dozens of shadows thrashed inside the stone, their hands and faces pressed against the surface in an eternal, silent struggle to escape the foundation. Thousands of knocks began to echo from every direction simultaneously. Ethan fled back to the elevator as the walls seemed to reach for him. He hit the button for the lobby, and the car dropped so fast the floor seemed to disappear beneath his feet. The 13th floor exists as a manifestation of the hotel's collective history. It is a spatial trap designed to pull new victims into the trauma that was buried beneath the original construction. When the elevator doors opened, Ethan was back on the 12th floor. The lights were bright, and guests were heading to breakfast. He checked out immediately, leaving the hotel behind for good. At the front desk, the receptionist took his key without a word. As he turned to leave, she whispered that once the hotel records a name, it doesn't lose the information. 6 months passed in Ethan's home city. He returned to his job and his quiet apartment, and the events at the Ashcroft Grand began to feel like a fading nightmare. He settled into a routine of long workdays and quiet evenings. The distance between his new life and the hotel in Colorado seemed to grow with every passing week. One evening, a small package arrived at his door with no return address. Inside was a heavy brass hotel key marked with the room number 1317 and a note that read, "Thank you for staying with us." His phone rang. When he answered, he heard the chime of an elevator, followed by a dial tone. At 3:17 a.m., the knocking began again. 3 slow, heavy strikes against his apartment door. Ethan looked through the peephole of his front door. His apartment building's hallway was gone. In its place was the decaying, earth-scented corridor of the Ashcroft Grand. At the far end, the elevator doors were wide open, waiting for him to step back in. The 13th floor isn't anchored to the hotel's physical location. It is anchored to the names in its register. The trap moves with the guest, waiting for them to finally walk back through the door.